already. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Roblox Studio Basics. In today's episode, we are going to be showing you how to make a vehicle spawner. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to need to do is in Starter UI, we need to insert an object, Screen GUI. Then we're going to right-click, and we're going to insert a frame. This frame is going to be where the spawn car functions happen. Now what I like to do is I like to use pictures of the vehicle. There's many ways you can design these UIs. Many ways that you can dive right in. Alright, so right click, insert object, local script. Local script is what we use so the client can talk to the UIs. Now I had done this already and it was giving me a bunch of errors. So I have to do this a little differently for some reason. I'm not too sure why. So we put in the wait. Why? I don't know, but it won't work without it. Local, let's see. Spawn, let's just go spawner equals. And then what we need to do is, let's see. I'm going to make this unvisible for a minute. Unvisible, yeah. So let's go ahead and insert a part into the workspace. Let's scale it. Make it thin, just a part. Make sure it's anchored. All right, that way it doesn't fall over. We may want to collide with it. Then we're going to right click on the part. We're going to insert object. We're going to be using a proximity prompt for this one. Rename that to spawn car. Okay, back to our local script. Spawner equals game dot workspace dot part, no, not parent, dot part dot spawn car. All right, and then what we want to do is we want to go spawner dot trigger. Yeah, trigger ended, so it'll fire at the end of the proximity prompt. You can set different lengths: 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. So you can have it. The code goes off as soon as you interact with it or when you're finished interacting with it. This one we'll do at the end. Connect, simple connect function. All right, and then in between here is where we want the code, and we want to go script.parent.frame, script.parent.frame, and what we're going to do is we're going to tween the position. And we want U. See, I just press U, comes up, UDIM2. So we'll go over tween position. If you want an object to smoothly transition from one area to another area, tween position is an excellent way of doing that. Let's see. So, and then what we want to do is we are telling it to move to here, to the current position of the frame, whatever that is, wherever that is, just like that. Oops, just like that. Oh, now it's giving me an error because of this. Perfect. Now, if we test that, here, frame is invisible. Let's make the frame visible, and let's, I like -2. There we go. Now this, where did it go? It's gone somewhere, right? So we come in, shouldn't be any errors, hopefully. No, there's no errors. And then we interact. Hey, look at that. So now within the frame, we need a text button. I like image buttons. You know, we can use a text button, then we can use the image button. It doesn't matter. Image button, we can use text button. Insert object, local script. But now, before we do that, we want to be able to see the frame. So what I like to do is, let's make that 0. There we go. Now it's on the screen. Okay, this is our button. Let's change the color of this to green, maybe, and that way we can see it. Yes, there we go. And we'll just, it's as simple as that. Now what we're going to need to do is we need to add some code to the button that says, hey, when I press the button, I want the car to spawn. So what's really important about this is the button needs to be the name of the vehicle or the object that you want to spawn. So we'll start with that. Local car name equals script.parent.name. Easy peasy. Then what we're going to do is we need some what are called remote events. Now, what is a remote event? A remote event is basically it's an object that will listen to the server, and what it's listening for is the spawn car. So in replicated storage, we're going to create a folder, insert object, a folder. We're going to rename this to spawn events. We don't even need to do that. We could just name that to car, or we could rename that to spawn even, without the, let's say, folders are just a good way of keeping track of your remote events. When we made Blue Trucking City, there is a lot of, yeah, could really go over that again. All right, so we insert two remote events into the spawn folder. The first one we are going to rename as spawn car, and the second one we are going to rename delete car. You can name these whatever you want. For the purpose of this tutorial, I think spawn car, delete car makes it easy to keep track of. So we go local spawn car equals, and we have to find it. So we go game.replicated storage this time, and then it's in the folder spawn.spawn car. And now we go local delete car equals game.replicated storage dot spawn dot delete car. Now, they're both very important. What I like to do is when the car, if you have a car in the world and you try and spawn another one, what this will do is it will delete your existing car and give you a new one, and that way you don't have a whole bunch of cars piling up. Been there. All right, and then we also need the player as well. Local player equals, let me go game.players.local player. Game.players.local player. All right, so those are our. Now, what we want to do is we need this button. So how do we interact with buttons? Usually with your mouse. So we go script dot parent dot mouse button one down. So you got mouse button one down, mouse button one up. That's important when you're making buttons. You can say when they press the button down, it does a function, and when they release the button, it connects them to a different function. Very interesting. So we want to write connect function same way as we write all the beginning. All right. Now, in between here is where we write our code. First thing we want to do is I like to do the delete car first. So we'll do that. We'll do delete car. And then we say fire server. And what that does is it does what it says. It'll fire the remote event delete car. And what that will do after this, we're going to build a master script, which is going to control all of that. It's going to say when delete car, when spawn car, spawn car. All right. And then what I like to do is I like to add, just have it wait. And then spawn car. Just like that. Fire server. And you'll find that most of these are really the code that you'll be writing is very minimal. Sometimes once we get into vehicles, it might get a little bit more, but as far as the basic functions go, 10, 15 lines of code at the very most. Does a lot. Okay, and then we want the car name, right? Our very first variable. So what that's going to do is, let's just rename this button. Let's rename it truck. And then yes, okay. So we're done with this, and we're done with this, and we renamed our button to truck. And now what we can do is we're going to hide the UI. We'll go -2 as far as the position goes. Whoops. That was the button, not the frame. Oh, and I forgot one more thing here actually in this local script. What we want to do is we want after the car is spawned, we want the UI to go away. So we go script dot parent dot parent. That's the frame. And then we should say tween position udem2 dot new, and we will put in here. We'll copy and paste its existing position. All right, but in this third number, 0.307, we're going to turn that to -2. There we go. There we go. All right. Easy peasy. That's the button. It says tuck, not truck. Rename that to truck. Okay. Okay. So there we have that. We have our UI. We have our button that we can click on, which is going to do stuff. Now we take our frame. We're going to send this to -2, which is the position we want it to be at. And we're all done with that. Okay, so next thing we want to do is we need to go into server script service. Now server script service, if you have scripts that you want to run on the server side, this is where you add them. Insert object, and we're going to use a regular script. Now this one's a bit of a big one. We can add a lot of elements to here, but today we're just going to focus on. We'll just focus on the little ones. Okay, so first thing we want, local. We want to get our replicated storage. So replicated storage, and we'll go game, and we can go get service. Get service, and then we want to say server storage. Server storage. All right, and what that'll do is that's server storage here. Okay, server storage, anything stored there the clients can't see. It's a real good safe spot to have, if you have a real popular game, people might try to exploit it. Thankfully, my games aren't that popular, so I don't really have that issue. But, our games aren't that popular. But if they were popular, I might have to worry about that. We may have to design them in a different way. All right, then we go local. Let's say spawn car event. And now we need to say where it is, right? And it was in replicated storage. So we go game dot replicated storage dot spawn car. And we go local. We need delete car event. Delete car event. Same thing. We're just telling the script, hey, this is where to find the remote event. It's game.replicateStorage.spawn.delete car. And that's what I'm saying. When you interact with the proximity prompt, it triggers a remote event, which then triggers the scripts Very cool. Very, very cool. All right. So then we can have just a local a variable. I just go event equals false, and that way what this will do, there's a better way of writing this. So we go spawn car event. All right. And we want on server event. So dot on server event, which is waiting for the remote event. And we'll say connect function, which is what we do for everything. We want to connect it to a function. And that function will be event equals true. And we will say car equals, oh yes, so this right here, we are going to go into our server storage. We're going to insert an object, a folder. We're going to rename that folder. We can rename it to trucks, let's say, and that is where we are going to put all of our vehicles that we want to spawn. So I'm just going to go to the toolbox, and of course I have a working truck, this lovely one here, which doesn't have any errors, and I'm going to put that in there. So now it says truck and trailer. I need to rename that. If you recall, our button is called truck. If you don't rename this to the name of the button or vice versa, it won't connect. It will not connect. All right, so now that we've done that, we've made a folder in the server storage. We've called it trucks. We've placed our truck into the server storage. Now we can go back to our script. Now we can make a local variable, and we're going to call that car. Right? And that's, now we got to say a replicated storage. Let's see, we used replicated storage, which was our variable for server storage. And then we want to say find first child. It's looking for our folder, which is going to be trucks. Look at that. It finds it automatically. How fantastic is that? And then we want to do in there, we want to say once you found it, then you want to find the first child, the truck. See, look at that, that's perfect, because it's the only vehicle. If there were many vehicles in there, it would have a list of vehicles that you could query through. And yes. All right, truck. Oh no, we want the car name, but we want this to be like this, car name. Oops. Oh yeah. No, I don't want sticky keys. All right. Now this variable here, it's saying, hey, I was confused. Wait a minute. Where do we get that variable from? I forgot. So in here, where we say connect function, we can put variables in here. So rather than saying local, this variable equals da 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 da, you can just put them into this function, and depending on the type of variables, just like that. And see, we've created the variable car name within the function, and now we're able to use that variable car name within our within the code, and it's not going to say, hey, what does that mean? What is car name? Well, car name is the truck. We'll connect that. All right, find first child, car name. Now what are we going to do? Let's say if car, which is our variable, then, right, we're saying if it's true, then we want to go local, and what we're going to do is we're going to clone the car. So clone car equals car clone. All right, just like that. Then we need cloned car.name. Clone car.name equals, and basically what we're doing, we're creating the car. Player.name this part, just like that. And so what that's going to do is when you spawn the car, it's going to say the player name, car, S car. This is important. I had a lot of troubles with this. In the vehicles, there's a pickup script. I don't have to use it, but I decided to use it. And what that pickup script does, yeah, somebody made it a long time ago. This is it here, right? This is for the siren controls and that. And what it does is it verifies who you are. There's another script too that actually changes the name of the car. I guess this one here, this guy here, Icy Dev. Basically what it does is it detects when you sit in the seat and it'll change the name of the vehicle, right? And then what I did is I added to bring up the UI and stuff. Yeah, we'll go through that later on. We're going to actually make a vehicle from start to finish. It's going to be really interesting. Okay, so carrying on, we have the cloned car's name. Now we need to determine the cloned car's parent, being, you know, who's going to be responsible for this car, what to spawn. So it's going to be game.workspace, which is where we're spawning the car to. Then what we want to do is we want to wait a couple of seconds as well. You can change that, and then we'll go event equals false. Now I was having troubles with it firing multiple times. It would spawn multiple cars. So this was a quick way that I was able to silence that, and I now know there's a better way of writing these true and false things, but this is basically the quickest and easiest way to do that. All right, so now we should be able to spawn this truck. Okay, now it will spawn where I placed it on the map. It doesn't spawn by the player, it spawns where we placed it. Hey, look at that, and there's our truck. And then we can get in it, we can drive around. And then anywhere we place the truck is where it will spawn in the world. Now there's another way. What I did in Blue Trucking City was I made it so the truck would spawn beside the player, wherever the player was on the map, because the map was fairly large. But, yeah, to each their own. We can go over that later on. Now, we say, okay, well, the truck's in the game. Perfect. Now, it'll stay there. So now what we want to do is we want to add the delete car functions. Right? That was the spawn car. Now we need the delete car event. So we go delete car event, right? On server event, connect, function. Same thing, add the parentheses. And we're going to go player. Player, and in this time, we can just say car, because we already have the variable car. We don't need the car name. So we go local car equals game.workspace. And then we say find first child, player.named car. Now that's where it's player.name. This is where the naming of the objects matter. Okay? Whatever you name, because it's going to look through the workspace for that. And if it doesn't find it, it's not going to delete it. So you can name it whatever. And you can have multiple objects spawning in different areas. And this is how you keep track of deleting them and not deleting them. All right, simple. And then we go if car, right? If car, then, and we say remove. No, car remove. All right, just like that. So what it's saying is if you, well, I'll show you, let's show you. Interact. Gotta click twice, I'll figure that out. Oh, look, it spawned two of them. It wasn't supposed to do that. There. Whoa, it's not, wait, it wasn't supposed to do that. Yeah, because I clicked it twice. You forget when you add the weights, you need to wait, 1 second, 2 second. If you keep clicking it, it's going to spawn multiple vehicles. Okay, so we've spawned it in. It's there. All right, I want to spawn another one. See that? It deletes it, spawns another one. That's the delete function. That's the important part about that. Now you're saying, okay, so that's good, that's good. We want to add two more functions onto here. We want what happens when the player leaves the game, and what happens when you respawn. The issues I was having was if you respawn, then your vehicle stays where it is. And I suppose you could spawn another one, and it would just delete that one. Yeah, we could try that. Let's see. So it spawns it in. All right, now let's reset our character. Okay, vehicle's still there. Yeah, there we go. So we could probably skip that one. And what we'll do is we'll just add the player leaving the game. That's a really important one. And that way when the player leaves the game, we don't want his vehicle or objects to stay in the game. We want those objects to leave the game with the player. So we go game dot players dot player removing is the connect function. All right, player removing is the command for that. Then with simple local, right, car equals game dot workspace, right, find first child, player dot name, car, just like that. Oh, and then we have to do the same thing with the function. We need to put player in here, and we also need to put car in there. That way we have our variables established. All right, and that's simple. If car, then, right, just like we did in the previous, then we go car. All right, remove. Easy peasy, just like that. All right, now we can close all this, and close all of this. That way when they leave the game, it'll remove the car. Yeah. Yeah, see, I was having an issue where with the pickup, it was changing the name of the car. And when the player respawns, their car was staying. So I added the deleting the car when they respawn. You know what? Let's just add that in there. Why not? Why not? Just in case, in the future. Same thing. Just game. Dot player. Oh no. Game dot players. Now this one is player added. Player added. All right. Connect function. Same thing. We go player. Car, which is our variables, and then we go player dot character. This one's a little bit different. Player dot character added. All right. Connect function, and then this one directly connects to the character. Sure I'm spelling that right. All right, this one directly connects to the character. And then it's the same thing. Local car equals game dot workspace, find first child, player dot name, car. Right, and then we go if car, oops, if car, then car, remove. All right, easy peasy, no errors. Check for errors. We don't have any. What I like to do is just, can separate the functions if you want. All right. There we go. That's it. Now let's test that out. We close this. Press play. I'll spawn it in. Then if I respawn my character, push the button. There's a 2-second wait in there, so we gotta wait. There's the truck. And if I reset my character, yes! Hey, the vehicle is gone. You can do that for objects. You can do that for anything. It doesn't have to be vehicles. And this is also another great way of allowing players to spawn things into the game. Not necessarily vehicles, but objects and whatever else. So once again, thank you for watching. This is episode number 2. The end game here is to we're gonna bridge, hopefully, you guys into vehicles. I like vehicles, and there's a lot to it to get the vehicles to work, to add the functions to it, as you saw with the doors and that, and creating a custom UI. And there's all sorts of fun stuff, pressing buttons. So we'll get there eventually. But again, thank you for watching, and have a wonderful day.